Hello, fellow YouTubers, and welcome back to Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. On the last episode, we found a contradiction in Emma's testimony. We also found the picture that she drew on the back of the evidence list we had, and also found out that the evidence list that Edgeworth was given 2 years ago was only half of the real thing. And on the back of the other half, we found the Blue Badger's head. But she testified again, saying that, and kind of found out that because of the picture that she drew, the person had a broken knife in his hand that couldn't have been possible since the knife hadn't been broken at that time. And so we're trying to figure out if there was a second broken knife at the moment. And now we're given this choice right now. Emma's mistaken or there was another one. And we are going to pick the correct answer right now. If the witness is this adamant about the accuracy of what she saw, it can't just be explained away by a simple observational error. Mr. Wright! In that instant, Emma really did see a broken knife. I assume, then, that you have some information about this other broken knife. If so, please feel free to enlighten us. The murder weapon was already broken prior to the murder. There's only one way. Take a look at this. Here is the real murder weapon. All right, time to present some evidence. We actually do have evidence of this broken knife. Let's head all the way over here to the Gantt team picture. And if we check it, look what's on the King of Prosecutors trophy. The answer lies in the past. 2 years in the past. Right here inside this picture. The only colored picture in the entire world. This is a picture of the award ceremony. Ah! What is it, Mr. Edgeworth? It's the broken murder weapon. Notice the award Prosecutor Marshall is holding. Edgeworth hates this thing with a passion. That's a broken knife. I was wondering how he got it. As we earlier concluded, the knife in the picture was not Joe Dark's knife. That being the case, the knife the witness saw was in all likelihood this award. Order! 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 Neil Marshall was awarded King of Prosecutors that day. As an award, he was given this broken shield and a broken knife. When he chased after Joe Dark, he pulled out this knife. How? Isn't the knife part of the award? Being a prosecutor, he did not carry a pistol. This broken knife was the only weapon he had in this dangerous situation. But that can't be. Oh? And why not, Mr. Edgeworth? Because if the King of Prosecutors Award knife wasn't that murder weapon, then the murderer and the victim would be reversed. What do you mean? I mean, this man raising a knife would have been Prosecutor Neil Marshall. Oh. Oh! Phoenix is like, oh, why did I think of that? But the prosecutor was the one who actually died. That's true. What's going on here? It seems Mr. Wright has been a bit too eager to jump to conclusions. Wait! I remember now! I remember everything! Witness! Mr. Edgeworth! What is it? Could you show me your evidence list again, please? His list? The one with that picture scribbled on the back. I knew it. This picture. I'm the one who drew it. What? You drew that? That's right. The list wasn't torn in half at the time I drew this picture. I like the music that's playing in the background. All this time I've been trying so hard to forget. If I knew the Blue Badger, I'd be trying to forget too. I must have locked this part away deep inside me. Perhaps it would be best if we added this to the witness's testimony. Would you please tell us what you've recalled, Miss Sky? Yes, Your Honor. First, the knife mix-up, and now the blue badger? This should be interesting. Also, if she's the one that drew the blue badger, the chief of criminal affairs, they're taking credit for a 14-year-old girl's drawing. This is like the story of Big Fat Liar. So with the picture, Emma should start getting some royalties soon. Emma's recollection. When I saw that man raise his knife, I panicked and rushed towards both of them. I think I knocked away the man with the knife. Just then there was another flash of lightning, and that's when I saw the blue badger. He wasn't in the room, but I'm sure I saw his shadow. This is certainly most unusual. Objection! Try impossible. The head detective of criminal affairs didn't even design him until this year. Apparently not! Apparently Emma designed him 2 years ago. That wouldn't mean he didn't even exist 2 years ago. Yes, well, the defense may now begin its cross-examination. Stop, please, don't pursue this any further. Uh-oh. Lana! What is the meaning of this? Please remain seated in the defendant's chair. Where is the defendant's chair? We haven't seen it at all every single time we see the entire courtroom. But you can't do this. I've already confessed to the crime. Why can't you just leave it at that? Chief Prosecutor Sky. We've already come this far. It's too late to turn back. Silence! The defense will now begin its cross-examination. Bailiff, please detain the defendant. It seems we're finally getting to the core of the matter. Especially if Lana's jumping out like this. Emma's recollection. So, for this one, we're going to go to her last statement about the shadow. I mean, it can't be the blue badger. Can it? I mean, we can't present the blue badger. But let's press this statement. His shadow? So you mean you didn't actually see his face with its winning smile and all? That's right, but I still remember it. He had 3 creepy horns. This is pointless. That thing couldn't have possibly existed 2 years ago. The witness must be mistaken. That may well be. But what's important is what caused her to think she saw what she did. Oh? And I suppose you have an explanation. If so, then by all means, please tell us what this shadow really was. What was it Emma saw when that lightning flashed? Who is this blue badger, really? I just might know, or I'm not sure. We're gonna pick I just might know, because that's actually what we need to do in order to progress. The blue badger hadn't even been dreamed up when Emma drew this picture. Yet she's certain she saw its shadow. Ladies and gentlemen, oh, way to start, Phoenix. It is the defense's belief that on that fateful day 2 years ago, there indeed was something that looked similar to the blue badger. Something that is now sitting in this very room. Mr. Wright! In this room? Very well, Mr. Wright. What is it that the witness saw in that instant? Please show us this mysterious blue badger look-alike. Now, you're never gonna believe this, though we do actually have what it is in our hand. This mysterious blue badger was, in fact, this. But that's... what exactly is that? I believe it's some sort of jar. But Mr. Wright, that doesn't look anything like the blue badger. Indeed it doesn't. As it stands now, it's just a plain jar. However, what if we were to change our viewpoint? Our viewpoint? I've got to show them the correct angle to look at this from. I got the blue badgers on the top screen, so for some reason, this jar should resemble the blue badger. Let us do this. Twirl it around, like so. Lift this up like this, and well, isn't that just creepy? There it is. Well, is this a miracle or what? No one can possibly deny this jar's resemblance to the blue badger. As stupid as it is. No. It can't be. Order! Order! The defense has proven its claim. The judge even sounds surprised. The mysterious blue badger witnessed on the day of the crime was actually this. Objection! Although we all enjoyed Mr. Wright's dramatic performance, one question remains. What's your point? What do you mean? So that badger thing was actually just a jar. That doesn't change anything. I'm afraid that's where you're wrong, Mr. Edgeworth. You see, this changes everything. Indeed? Very well then. Please tell us. What's different now than we know the witness saw this jar? The location, the murder weapon, or the murderer? Now here's the funny thing. Any of these work. This is a red herring choice. All these options changed, so we just need to pick anything. Let's pick, for the sake of sakes, let's pick the location. Or the murder weapon. Let's pick that one. Allow me to take these in turn. At the moment of the murder, the witness saw this jar. Not only that, but she saw it at a very specific angle. Knowing this, where could she have seen this jar? Where? The location of the jar is shown in the picture taken on the day of the crime. It's on a shelf in the office of Damon Gant. But the body was found lying near Lana Sky's desk. The witness testified so herself. Yes, and it is these two facts that reveal what actually transpired. You see, the struggle between Dark and Marshall did not take place in Lana Sky's office. It happened on the other side of the room, in Chief Gant's office. Are you implying the murderer moved the victim's body? From Damon Gant's office to Lana Sky's office? Yes. Why would he do that? There's no reason. Exactly. If there wasn't a reason, he wouldn't have gone through the trouble. The only logical conclusion is that there was a reason. I can't say conclusion, apparently. Do you know what that reason was, Mr. Wright? I finally figured it out. So this is why Lana tried to stop the trial. It's too late to quit now, though. Please recall the witness's testimony. She said she knocked away the man who was holding up the knife. In the next instant, the jar was hit and flew through the air. Flew through the air. Why did I skip through? That was the one word I was looking for. Now tell me, what could have sent the jar flying? That would have to have been the impact the man had made when he was knocked into the wall. Ladies and gentlemen, If I may draw your attention to this picture once more. Because, I mean, it's so beautiful with all those colors and all. If the man was knocked in the direction of the shelf the jar was sitting on, what would he have hit? The suit of armor, holding a very sharp and dangerous-looking sword. Yes. And since the man who was knocked into the armor was carrying a broken knife, he would have had to have been Neil Marshall, wielding the Prosecutor's Award. No, Mr. Wright, you can't be thinking. Yes. There is another possibility of what actually transpired in that room. Another possibility? Of course, the perpetrator would have had no idea, but nevertheless. I don't know if I can go through with this. Mr. Wright? What's the matter? If events took place as the defense theorizes, then the outcome is obvious. In that moment, assuming the man Emma Skye knocked away was actually Prosecutor Neil Marshall, You mean Mr. Marshall died because of me? No! I never imagined her testimony would lead to this. So it was the witness who took the victim's life. And then proved so with her own testimony. This is unprecedented. Not true. I mean, case one, Frank Sott kind of dug his own grave. But still. What? What are you saying? I'm sorry, Miss Skye, but given the circumstances... Joe Dark murdered Prosecutor Marshall! How can you think that it was Emma? How dare you try and pin the crime on her? Imagine that, coming from you. And if you recall, it was you who admitted to forging evidence 2 years ago. And the reason you moved Prosecutor Marshall's body was to keep anyone else from finding out about what Emma did, wasn't it? I assure you, Mr. Edgeworth, I have no idea what you're talking about. If you hope to have anyone believe your insane allegations, I'm afraid you're going to have proof. Tell me, do you have any conclusive evidence that proves my sister killed Neil Marshall? Evidence? I'm willing to bet you don't. Yes, it certainly would be difficult to prove this with evidence. If we don't have evidence, then we'll have to rely on testimony. I'm afraid that won't work in this case. Both parties involved in the incident are dead. We certainly can't get dead people to testify. Yeah, we can! Call up Maya! This has all been a wild goose chase from the beginning. Touché, Miss Skye. Of course, that only leaves us with one possibility. You mean there's still another possibility? What do you mean, Mr. Edgeworth? I mean the possibility that the victim has left us a message. For better or for worse, Mr. Marshall did not die instantly. He may have left behind the name of the person who took his life. Somehow. That's impossible. Mr. Wright, this is the only possibility left to you. A message from the deceased. Does such a message exist? I've got to think back to the court record. The real murderer's name that victim may have left behind. It is in the evidence. It doesn't exist. I would call it an episode right now, but we are so close to get to be continued things. So let's continue on and pick the actual correct response. This message from the deceased is already in our possession. Mr. Wright, will you stop at nothing to prove my sister's a murderer? Do not be mistaken, Miss Sky. Our purpose is not to accuse Emma of any crime. There is only one thing we seek: the truth. No matter how painful it may be. Now then, Mr. Wright, please show us the piece of evidence that conveys a message from the deceased. Well, we gotta go back to the item that we just had a moment ago, the unstable jar. This is the message left by the deceased. This is that blue badger from before, right? Oh, is he going to just speak the killer's name? If that thing could, I'm sure it would. Looks like everyone's forgotten this is just a jar. A message was left here, on the surface of this jar. I'm glad he said jar to get everyone to remember what it is. What do you mean? If you look closely, you can see a faint trail of blood on this jar. It looks like someone wiped the blood away. Yes, but notice. For some reason, this blood on some of the fragments were not wiped away. Yes, there was a line here, drawn in blood. So what you're saying is these dots were once lines. Prosecutor Marshall did not die instantly. He used the few precious moments left to him to leave behind a message. I can't speak. The one that someone apparently wiped away. But blood must have seeped into the jar where the lines changed directions. Precisely so. All we need to do is connect these points, and the victim's message will become apparent. No. Mr. Wright, what kind of message did the victim leave for us? Your Honor, I believe these bloodstains will reveal to us the answer. I've got to connect these dots to make letters. There's only one thing the victim would have written, given the circumstances. The murderer's name. So with this thing, we actually have, all we have to do is touch a corner, and then we'll get this like blue line. And with this blue line, we need to connect it with another red area, like so, or so, or so. But we need to write someone's name. So let's connect it right there. And connect this right there. Connect this right there. Connect this line here. This line can go all the way up. So connect this line. That goes over there. And you can start seeing the sad, sad message that this thing is left behind. It's a defense attorney's duty to prove his client's innocence. That's why all I've been thinking about is saving Lana. After all my efforts, I never thought it would turn out like this. Emma. So this is the final message Prosecutor Marshall left behind. Of all people. She may not have meant it, but in the end, the one who took the victim's life was Emma Sky. Seaworthy? Can't say I didn't warn you. scant. Do you understand the implications of what you've done? What? What are you talking about? 2 years ago, Joe Dark was sentenced to death. He was convicted because of his final murder. I believe you were the prosecutor in the case, were you not? Ugh. Yes, Worthy. Because of you, an innocent man was sentenced to death. Not only that, but you used forged evidence to ensure his conviction. But Joe Dark really was a serial murderer. That's undeniable. I'm afraid that's not important. Didn't you know? We aren't defenders of justice. What? We're merely keepers of the law. Sentencing a man to death is no light matter. Even if there wasn't any cover-up or evidence forgery, ultimately the responsibility falls on the prosecutor in charge. Despite what anyone may say, this fact cannot be denied. What's going on at the prosecutor's office? They might have sent an innocent man to his death. How can he just stand there like it wasn't his fault? Order! 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 The gavel's pounding fell on deaf ears. Unable to settle the crowd, the judge declared a recess. Where this trial is headed, no one knows. Good God! What is going on? Well, we have the second half of the trial to deal with. There's still a lot of things that are unknown at this point. Actually, not really. There's no real unknowns at this point, which is sad. It can't be Emma. Not... Well, on the next episode of Phoenix Wright, we'll be heading back to court. Try and do something with something. So until next time, hopefully you enjoy. Am I fighting the genie? Oh God, Jafar has a laser beam. Wait. Yeah, you do. You totally do have a choice. Isn't one of your rules, Genie, that you cannot kill? Plus, didn't you do this exact same? Didn't he ask you to do this exact same thing in the movie, and that didn't work out? Oh God! Oh, I fight him! I fight him! I fight him! Fight him! Wow, he completely dodged my fire. Ow!